Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second lecture on financial management accounting tools for NPOs. I hope that you guys enjoyed the first video where we looked at some of the introductory concepts around accounting practice and what to look for when selecting an accounting software package. So let's move into the second of this three-lecture series by looking at a quick recap from what we covered on the first lecture. So we briefly looked at the accounting equation, and we said that according to the accounting equation, your assets are equal to your liabilities and equity. We said that assets, in essence, are the things that you own within an organization, and that needs to equal your liabilities plus equity, which collectively represent the things that you owe. We said that liabilities relate to things that you owe to people outside of the organization, typically, and your equity relates to the things that you owe internally, such as your shareholders or owners. We said that in order to understand which accounting software packages to use, one needs to have a basic understanding of accounting transactions and how they influence the system of balance. And of course, from a user perspective, we said that there are a number of key users that make use of the accounting information that we prepare. Some of those include your shareholders, if you are in a business, or your beneficiaries, if you are within a non-profit organization. And the reason why they care about this information is so that they can assess whether you're spending your money in the right way. Similarly, this goes for your employees to see if the work that they're doing contributes to the goal that you're trying to achieve as your NPO. And of course, your directors then also have the opportunity to use this financial information to understand the direction of the business and re-strategize where necessary. There were other stakeholders that we spoke about, such as your tax authorities, in our case, SARS, as well as your donors would like to know where their money is going and whether it's being used for the right purposes. We then said by moving into the space where we select our tools, there are a few things to look out for, certain features that will be useful for our particular context. And today we'll be going into a lot more detail around selecting these accounting tools. So for the remainder of the lecture, we'll be looking at some of the most widely used, some of the most popular, and some of the most user-friendly accounting tools that are out there, which of course can be used within the context of NPOs. We will be looking at 4 different software packages, and they have been arranged in order of organizational size. So we'll be moving from the perspective of looking at the accounting package or packages that are most useful for small businesses or small NPO organizers, small NPOs, then moving on to your medium-sized, and then moving into your larger organization. So I want to start off with the accounting package that I find to be the most useful. It's an accounting package that I use for a lot of my clients. I find it very, very user-friendly, and I find that the information flow within the system is actually quite well suited for small organizations. It doesn't require a lot of deep accounting information, and it's very intuitive as far as the flow of information is concerned. So I'm going to look at some of the advantages and drawbacks of the system. Remember that the objective of this part of the lecture is to understand what are the features of these different accounting programs, and that will help you make an assessment on the type of program that's most useful for you. So let's chat about Wave. So Wave is a free accounting system, which is already a major catch point. It doesn't cost you anything to use. It's an open access system that sits in the cloud. It's filled with a lot of quality features and replicates some of the more advanced systems out there, which are typically paid systems. In summary, it allows you to connect and import your bank statements, generate invoices, prepare all of your major reports. And it's really an ideal starting point for small businesses and NPOs. So some of the key advantages from the Wave system is that number one, it's actually free. And when I say free, I mean completely 100% free without any catches. So any organization can go onto the Wave Apps platform, register as a business, and set up an account. Each Wave account is linked to a unique email address, and that's really a great advantage to have, especially for smaller organizations and cash-strapped organizations that don't really want to spend unnecessary money on advanced systems that really don't meet their needs or offer features that are not really useful for their context. There are, of course, costs associated with two very specialized functions within the platform. I found that for most small organizations, these functions are not really necessary, and it's quite easy to get away without paying these additional fees. So those two fees are for your online payments. So if you require your creditors or customers or donors to make payments directly through the Wave system, and it almost works like an online store where there are commission charges for the payments that come through to your through directly to your system. And of course, there is a payroll edition which you can explore. But unless you have lots and lots of people within your organization, one can easily get away without spending money on the payroll option. Another advantage is that it can definitely be tweaked for the context of NPOs. Your NPOs are typically organizations which most accounting platforms don't exclusively cater for, and so there's usually a fair amount of tweaking that needs to take place in order to use traditional accounting software for an NPO context. So really good that the Wave system can be easily modified for NPOs. The tool also has great invoicing and transaction management. So the user interface and the navigation tools are very, very intuitive. They're very user friendly, very modern and clean looking. None of the old, boring sort of accounting software connotations come to mind when you're going through the system, which is always a good thing because accounting can be a little bit boring at times, let's be honest. And so you don't want to have your system matching those negative connotations, and that's always quite user friendly and helpful from a UX perspective. So some great advantages, a great starting point for smaller organizations. What are some of the drawbacks? So unfortunately, there aren't any live bank connections. So what I mean when I talk about live bank connections, for South African users, unfortunately, we cannot link our bank credentials directly to the system that allows for real-time transactions to be imported into the system. However, one can import our bank statements through CSV files. So most banks in South Africa have the option for you to download at least your last 3 months of bank statements in CSV format, which can then be uploaded into the system and used from there. So it's a little bit of a two-step process, but really not the end of the world unless you're dealing with a large volume of transactions and need those transactions to be automatically captured on a day-to-day basis. Another drawback is that there's no comprehensive mobile app. So for a lot of organizations that are on the go, people who are on the go and do a lot of work on their mobile phones, excuse me, unfortunately, the mobile app is not up to speed. So you do need to do your work on a desktop, and that becomes a little bit difficult depending on your context. The payroll capabilities are fairly limited even under the paid option. So if you have a lot of people within your organization and you need to carefully manage payroll and the payroll function for many employees, this may not be the right system for you. However, if you have a fewer number of employees, I would say probably up to about 5, you should be okay with the system. And then another drawback is there's no inventory management system built into this module. So if your organization is heavily dependent on inventory management, um, one would need to have a separate system for inventory management and explore the plugins which can be integrated into the system. So no built-in inventory management system. All right. Next one I want to talk about is FreshBooks. So FreshBooks has really come onto the scene with a bang. It's a really fantastic platform, and yeah, it's really taken the market by storm. It's one of the more popular programs out there. Um, in summary, great option for non-profit organizations. Well, the first drawback compared to Wave is that it's not free. So your base package starts at roughly $6 per month, which on average, depending on the exchange rate and commissions, could go more or less to about 120 Rand per month. The user interface is clean. The mobile app is really, really good. And that's the main differentiator from your free accounting software packages. So some of the key advantages from FreshBooks: solid mobile app functionality. So if you are the type of person, or your accounts department is made up of people who are comfortable with using their mobile phones to do serious work, the mobile app is actually quite a good option for doing work where you're not necessarily limited to your desktop and your laptop as well. So that's a really good advantage. It also allows for team and project management support. So it has built-in team management modules, which tracks things like timesheets, rates per hour, etc. And it has some nifty project management tools where you can allocate resources and manage projects on a project by project basis, rather than managing the entire organization from one central point. FreshBooks, given its popularity, has given rise to a lot of great tools that can be integrated into the FreshBooks platform. And of course, just like Wave, it is a fantastic user interface, and navigation tools are quite user friendly. Some of the drawbacks: so on your basic package of 120 Rand, a lot of the features are quite limited. So you would probably need to upgrade to the intermediate package before you can unlock some of the more useful modules which would otherwise be free in a system like Wave. So costing becomes your first challenge. No real inventory management system within FreshBooks, something that can be integrated, but just like Wave, not built in. Costs can quickly accumulate. So everything is driven from a volume perspective. So the more users you have in your account, the more invoices you generating, the more transactions that you're dealing with, those costs go up. So it's almost like a sliding scale until you get to the more elite packages, which encompasses all of these elements, but they can become quite pricey. So that's FreshBooks in a nutshell. The next one I want to talk about is also a very, very popular accounting package, which you probably heard of, Zero Accounting. So this system is really designed to meet the requirements of small businesses. It's industry agnostic, so it's not really focused on any particular type of business. It has some really nifty and complex accounting features for the price. So from a review perspective, some of the advantages is that this is definitely an accounting package that's useful and suitable for medium-sized organizations. So if you anticipate growth within your organization as a small organization, you want to start the journey with something like Zero from the outset, if budget allows, because it really allows you to grow with the organization as a supporting package. It can also be easily tweaked for NPO. So despite some of the more complex features that are out there, it can definitely be tweaked for the nonprofit context. Major differentiator from some of the free and cheaper packages is the inventory management. So once again, if your organization deals a lot with inventory management, then definitely Zero is a very good option as a starting point. Solid payroll module as well. So if you have a lot of people working in your organization, unlike FreshBooks and Wave, I would recommend Zero as a excuse me, as a better starting point to manage and maintain those payroll functions. Drawbacks. The first major drawback is of course cost. So um, although the $30 package is not your base package, if you look at the features that are available on the base package, you can't really get any serious work done at the base package level. So my take would be that in order to make any meaningful use of the program, you probably need to come in at the $30 per month package, which translates to roughly 500 Rand per month. There have been some complaints around user support and not being able to get hold of um, a support team member from Zero, especially for thing or through platforms such as your live chatting or your emails. You can in certain reviews I've read that you typically can only phone through for support, and if you're dialing an international number, that could become a bit of a problem for costing, because we don't really want to spend too much money making phone calls overseas. The mobile app is not streamlined. There have been some complaints around the mobile app, and definitely some recommendations have been taken in, or well, many recommendations have been taken into account over the years. But by and large, the mobile app is not as clean and user friendly as some of the other more established accounting software packages out there. And then lastly, I want to speak about QuickBooks. So QuickBooks is actually one of the leading in-class software tools out there, suitable for both small and large organizations. Um, very popular in South Africa as well. So many of you may have heard about QuickBooks. In summary, targeted for your small businesses, your startups, freelance bookkeepers, but can also be used for your larger organizations if need be. It definitely has a lot of robust tools, expense tracking, tax calculations, invoice management, and the like. Some of the key advantages is that there is excellent user interface and navigation. So the user interface is very intuitive, something that, as mentioned previously, helps when you don't come from a solid accounting background. In-depth contact records and transaction forms, those are very useful when you're dealing with types of transactions that are very specialized. Customizable reports, however, from an accounting perspective and not from a management perspective. So that is a bit of a pro and a con at the same time. Comprehensive payroll support. So the payroll module is very well developed. So if you have lots of people working in your organization, QuickBooks is definitely a good option. And because of the popularity, there has been the development of many add-ons and integrations which can be pulled in when necessary, particularly if your business or your NPO operates within a very specialized industry sector. Some of the drawbacks, as with some of the previous software packages we spoke about a little bit on the costly side. Also, a little bit of complaints around your support and the lack of key management reporting. So from an accounting perspective, you get most of the reports that you need. However, from a management reporting perspective, it could be a little bit difficult. To conclude, I've drawn up this accounting tools checklist, which is also in your attached exercise. And really what this slide allows you to do is make a list of the most important things that are necessary for the good accounting functioning of your organization. And you can use this as a checklist to eventually select the software that you would find most useful. So in a nutshell, this has a listing of all of the major features that you would expect to find in good accounting software. And you can use this as a tool to help you understand the the features that you would need. And based on the features that you would need, you can then match them to some of the accounting packages that are out there. And that brings us to the end of the second lecture. I hope that was insightful for you. And thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at the third lecture. Take care.